And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Summer Finals. I am Pyrotechnics. He is Clement Chu. And PSG are one game up over Megabank Beyond in this Grand Finals matchup. Before we get into everything, though, I do want to take a wonderful moment to thank our sponsors. They are CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and, of course, Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, we saw Beyond draft absolutely beautifully in that game one. And then just not execute on the game plan at all. They did not fight for dragons. They traded for Rift Heralds. They let PSG have a smooth sail to a game one victory. What do you want to see here from this squad now that they are going to be switching it up and they will be on the blue side, or the red side, I should say?
I do want to see them just go for Aphelios if it's open like that one. It's true that PSG are very powerful with Renekton. There's a lot of different comps they play. Especially, we saw the Twisted Fate and Nidalee composition that PSG played at the later half of the split that, Renekton basically enables. But I think if you look holistically at the series and how they played out, it has just been the scaling factor that has been winning out on the day. So I think, they could still draft a very good late game composition. Camille was also up for them in that situation. So if I'm them, I'm willing to kind of hand over the Renekton, handshake on it, and just say, all right, we're going to play late game 1-3-1 plus Aphelios, Thresh most likely in the mid lane. And, that's just the way forward for them.
Well, it has been a strategy that's certainly served Beyond Gaming in the past, and in most recently finding victories against the side of PSG just a couple of days ago. I mean, I don't want to say that was maybe the biggest upset we've had, but considering PSG had been unkillable up until that point, it was absolutely monumental. And overall, it's incredible to look back at these two teams because PSG have only been around as long as the PCS have been around, but Megabank Beyond Gaming, they come in this year and have kind of become, in many ways, like the biggest rivals to the side of PSG. So these two orgs certainly looking to make a name for themselves, more of so than they even already have. As Beyond, I misspoke, they are back on blue side with the side selection this game too. So far, the bans do not change, however.
Yep, exact same things coming out. So I think we will see the same sort of trade back here in the last pick. Gameplank, they could consider dropping that one to ban something else because the way the drafts have been developing, solo lanes have not been popping up in the first three picks. I think they could probably drop the priority a little bit lower, go for the Renekton ban and just make sure the Aphelios is theirs. That's also a potential way to draft this one. But they will... Okay, this is interesting. So they're handing over Renekton, but they're making sure at least Renekton Nidalee is not going to be a combo.
Yeah, considering that PSG have been able to win with the scaling factor a little bit more, that does seem to make sense. Now with the Thresh banned away, that should open up the Aphelios. We'll see if it gets snagged for Doggo, instantly locked in. So Beyond are clearly listening in on the cast, as so far it is all going according to plan. Renekton gets locked by PSG into the Diana for River, who had a pretty respectable game on that champion in game one.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the stronger combos that you're going to see from PSG here, and they have shown they have that Lucian. Maple does play it very well to a high caliber, so PSG, this comp is looking really strong, and I think the tables have turned right now. PSG are going to teach Beyond Gaming how to play a Drake fight-centric composition, how to utilize Renekton early.
It's very kind of them. As the Viego does get locked in for Husha once more. Husha had some decent plays, but just never got onto that incredible reset city Viego that you come to fear. And we'll see if that changes here as we get into this next one. For Beyond, taking their time with their final pickup. And will they just go for the Kennen once again? They do.
Kennen's still fine here. It gets pushed in the top lane, but it's not really a matchup where Renekton can get solo kills. It's going to be a bit of a wash there. And Kennen himself is very good into the Drake team fights as well, especially against something like Varus that can't really escape from him. So I still like the combo breaker kind of factor coming in from this Kennen.
Right. Yeah, Liang in game one definitely didn't have very many great targets to pick because the fights just developed far too slowly on the Beyond Gaming side. If that picks up, it could be the big combo plays that we are expecting to see on that side of things. Into the ban phase that Varus has been picked up by Unified. Change of 80 carries neither side. We're going to open up with a ban of support. The Alistar goes away for Kino.
Yeah, it should just be Braum Alistar being banned away, and That leaves Kino without a lot of options. His another go-to is going to be the Rel. But it hasn't been proving that powerful overall. It's quite strong when the enemy team has to engage into you, which is what PSG is setting up for.
Could take the Braum themselves as well. That's an option.
Yeah, it just feels like without Braum or Alistar, it feels a bit weak for the Athelio. So we're probably going to see a fairly slow game on Doggo's end.
Rise is going to be the final ban for PSG, trying to deny Maoan another comfort pick. And of course, Lucian banned by Beyond themselves. As Maple did have a pretty solid game on that one. We'll see what Beyond's final ban is going to be the Gangplank. They do save it for the second rotation, which is interesting because we've already seen the Renekton. I guess they're trying to predict the flex, which might happen. Okay,
yeah,
that's going to be the Hanabi Jace.
I don't think Gangplank really matters there. I think this is an empty ban from Beyond Gaming, and PSG coaching staff are super happy that they banned it. It's like, look at them! This is not what we wanted anyway. Like, Gangplank is much more of a scaling pick. It's good team fight, but I think Jace is actually a lot stronger in this composition. However, Braum is left open, though.
It is, and this was something I was wondering when we'd get to see, actually. Maoan going back onto the Silas pickup, and that is going to be a matchup that is melee in both sides. I think this should help, as it has been something we've seen most frequently from the likes of Jimmian, actually. Maoan definitely has some chops on this champ.
It's a pretty terrible matchup against the Renekton. So Beyond Gaming are basically saying, hey guys, you know what? You guys can take the Drakes. We're not going to touch him. We're just going to scale. See you in the 1-3-1 late game phase. And yeah, it's going to be Braum over Rel. I think Braum fits a lot better in this composition, especially you can block out poke damage with the Unbreakable, while Rel she's just completely outranged by what PSG have. So better answer coming in here.
Ooh, Kaiwing, don't tempt me like that.
There's no way, right? There's no way.
I mean, yes, the Bard makes a lot of sense. It's a Kaiwing special. We're not going to get it. We're going to get, instead, a Rakan, but it does mean they have some engaged, some disengaged. Already had a bit of frontline in the form of Maple, but overall, this is actually not the tankiest composition from PSG, but a very scrappy one.
So this is a super interesting draft from both sides, because I did come into this game saying that scaling is kind of the name of the game. But we have to remember that PSG is a very different team from Beyond Gaming. This is a composition where PSG actually know how to pilot. As compared to Beyond Gaming, which I don't think they have a very clear foray into this type of comp. So we are seeing the hardware being traded back, but the software was there from the start for PSG. They do not need to update. There's no patches for them. It's already downloaded in their hard drives. So I feel like this is a
fixed
game
and everything,
for PSG. Yeah, I think PSG are just going to roll them up this game.
Oh, wow.
Just not a lot of opposition.
Very confident. Yeah, it's tough to see for sure. I think PSG look very comfortable in this style of composition. For Beyond, the 1-3-1 has definitely been much more their specialty, but they need to ride out the rough rapids of this early game. It's going to be hard. And it feels weird. It feels like maybe they have to hope that the soul is not a super consequential one. I mean, that's never a great start to the game, but we'll see. They do have some tools to fight back in the later stages.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what Silas can actually take here. Moonfall's actually pretty good here. So, Beyond Gaming, they do have a great late game, and Hanabi Jace has always been... I'll be honest, Hanabi Jace has been a little bit suspect at times. We used to come from an era where there was legitimately only like 4 players in the world that could play Jace top lane and you'd be satisfied with. Jace has proliferated a lot. I think a lot of LPL top laners are great Jaces. Hanabi is... he gets to push his lane.
That's more than he usually gets to do, to be fair.
Yeah, but I still think with how much early power PSG have been able to acquire here, we're going to see a very different game plan, and I think it's a great educational opportunity for Beyond Gaming to see what actually PSG does that they don't, that allow them to run this comp.
For Beyond Gaming, they may buy that lesson very expensively. They do not want to go down 0-2 in the grand finals here, trying to avoid a repeat of what happened in spring when they got swept aside. Beyond going to start things off with some shenanigans. Kino does go sniffing up there. As you mentioned last game, definitely trying to bait out the play, but here's the thing about cheese, Clement. The cheesiest cheese is to not cheese at all.
Oh, wow, that feels like a. I feel enlightened just listening to that. It feels like
I have
an
my
excuse
moments.
to not do anything, but
I
it
mean,
makes
it
a lot of
is. Let's be
sense.
honest, but it's mind games. It's mind games at the end of the day. These teams very well acquainted with one another.
Yeah. PSG, they have 3 pushing lanes. I'll just start with that. Even though they might have a weaker early game jungle, I don't think it's going to be that much of a detriment to them. And yeah, I think the biggest difference you're going to see compared to the way Beyond Gaming plays this draft is Hanabi is going to save his TP for the Drake fight. He's not going to TP back to lane directly. That's something that is very important about this composition. I think that was like a huge thing that I picked up from RNG's play, especially from Letney, is that, okay, I'm going to go down a wave. I don't care, but I'm going to have TP for Drake fight. And yeah, I think it's just about when PSG decide to pull the trigger and go for the Drake fight themselves. And for Beyond Gaming, this is a game where actually trading heralds does make sense.
Absolutely. So as we get underway, no crazy changes to kick things off. I do want to keep an eye on Hanabi because I feel like it's always a bit of a wild card, even if he is going to be in a lane pushing situation. That Jace definitely has a lot of power potential as we get a little later into the stages of the game. You know, a fun thing about this Beyond comp is that between Husha and Mawan, they can actually steal the full range of abilities from anyone. But they do have to kill them if they want to get them from Viego.
That is very true. And I do like Rakan against Sylas. This is something we've seen quite a few times. If you want hard engage, a lot of times if there's a Sylas on the enemy team, you default to Rakan just because there's no damage on the quickness. So you take one ultimate away from potentially the Sylas. And yeah, I think things are going as planned so far. PSG winning out on all 3 lanes, as we have expected. Top lane, it's very hard for Kennen to fight against Jace later on, but once post 6, you can do tower dives onto Hanabi quite easily. And I think that's going to be the big trading point. Beyond Gaming most likely will just give up the Drake fights. Don't want to run into a Dominus and Chains of Corruption early, but they will try to kill Hanabi over and over again. And that's why I'm not feeling that strongly on this Jace, to be absolutely honest. I feel like it's good in lane, but when you're playing trading sides, it's not the best.
No, absolutely not. Husha will get a little bit of a play set up down on this bottom side here. Unified and Kaiwan going to have to be a little bit careful. Teleport immediately answering back, though. And that is going to be Hanabi finding nothing on the Shock Blast, but certainly a good deterrent from the side of PSG.
That was absolutely massive. That means that there is going to be no TP for Jace in those early team fights. And you can tell Hanabi is not happy with what he had to do right there, paying for the sins of his bottom lane. It's kind of an awkward back for him. Doesn't get any more damage just goes back to lane with the extra tier. So definitely not what he wanted to do.
Definitely not the case, as Husha's back for round 2, and they're looking for Kaiwing, but he's immediately out. Double flash is burned by PSG, though.
Oof, this has been really good play coming in from Beyond Gaming. They're just holding the wave into the bot side. They know that Diana went for the opposite clear, so the jungler is not in this quadrant of the map, and they just punished them for 3 summoners overall, and actually 4 if you consider the teleport. So just great stuff from Mega Man Beyond Gaming, and you can tell Kino is very happy about this one. That's kind of the problem about running these weak side junglers, is even if you want to push out all 3 lanes, sometimes there's a hefty cost associated with that.
Absolutely. You've got to be very, very careful in those cases. Ooh, looks like a nice little root lands onto Kaiwing for just a second, but he stays safe enough to get out of harm's way. Hits him with the thumbs up.
Attack from stun.
Yeah, that was close.
So the big thing here is to wait until level 6 is here. Because Kennen had the full time in the topside wave, I actually feel like he should be able to hit 6 first. And with Husha's pathing, that's probably what they're looking for. Just like a full 6 burst onto Hanabi again. And they could snowball that onto Herald. I'm willing to handshake Herald for Drake at this point, so that should be the play coming in. Be very careful on Hanabi's side. Indeed, Kennen already ticked over to level 6. This is getting pretty hairy for Hanabi. If you look at his position, he's dropped out of the wave to get a ward onto the outer try, something they definitely need to do. And PSG are still considering more protection for Hanabi because they do sense a potential dive coming.
Yeah, and it does seem like it's a good place to try and attack too, right? Like, it's not like when you're playing on a champion that has a lot of really good inherent protection. The Jace is a lot more of a juicy target, so River will be making his way up there a little bit slowly. Meanwhile, the rest of PSG definitely playing pretty safe on side lanes. And this Renekton of Maples has not had a whole lot of trouble against the likes of Maon, but a much quieter lane. Doggo stepping very far forward. Husha still sniffing around. He's kind of been living in this bottom lane for a little while as he goes through on the Herald Path, and they're going to set up for the dive right here as Kaiwing is the target. Instantly first-blooded, Unified trying to tank it out here, and Husha will go in and knocks him up with his own support play. Nicely done.
Absolutely beautiful trade coming in here from Beyond Gaming. They have the Graviton proc already. Honestly, PSG's bottom lane, they overstay here just a little bit. They get caught in the Graviton, and Husha with the reset drops tower aggro and then comes back. So he's incredibly safe doing that dive. It's just so smart from Mega Bank Beyond Gaming. And once again, this play is just due to the fact that they know that the clear paths are different. They're opposite from River and Husha. So there's not going to be any jungle interference. They get to walk up the tower, still place the ward underneath it. And this is looking pretty dire for PSG. I felt like they didn't cover their bottom lane enough. And bottom lane is actually far more important than top lane in this sort of a draft because you want to get bot lane priority for that Drake stacking. But they're not going to get that one. I guess scaling is still the name of the game.
Question mark? Yeah, I don't know anymore. It's definitely a little bit strange how things have shaken out. Beyond getting themselves a nice lead early, persistence pays off for Husha as he nets a kill for himself, and of course also one for his AD carry. So Doggo definitely having a great start to this game, and Dragon does get started up by PSG, but they don't really commit fully. And or excuse me, I'm sorry, that was Kino on the way back, and he does get the ward in there. So right now, it's definitely a little bit of a weird situation on the PSG side of things.
Yeah, I don't think they have the power to really start this Drake at this point. Especially not with River being there.
Ooh. Maelstrom into the tower. Leon actually does get tanked into a shot. The flash forward to follow, and that's going to be just enough for Hanabi to claim the kill. A solo 1v1 for PSG's top side. Husha looking to come in and get revenge, though.
I'm not sure what Leon was doing there, but that was very poorly traded on his part. He was already down by about 200 HP going into that. He does have an item lead here, but we'll watch this again. Hanabi sneaks out a lane to get the Honey Fruit in, just gets him a little bit more mana on his side. Lands the Shock Blast, and then Leon charges in onto him with the E already used. Has to flash out of tower first. That was...
We got to fight though down bot. Oh, Unified is going to be able to flash the Moonlight Vigil as he and Kaiwing trade back. Doggo incredibly low here, is playing on the edge, and River is incoming.
One more Q.
Okay, stopped up.
Here comes the charge up. He finds him.
Unified, that was beautiful. Maple even coming down on the Dominus, and I think Kino is not long for the Rift right now. Oh, what a snipe from Unified.
Still have to wait on the minion waves there, but in comes Maple with the stun.
Yeah, Exhaust is on. Here comes Maon, and trying to get two on that one, but even so, PSG have the numbers. Unified even coming around the long way as Maon just going to get sliced and diced down to 0. As Beyond try to salvage a play there, they get absolutely nothing for their trouble.
Yeah, it's a good idea to start that one by Beyond Gaming, but we didn't get the full start of the trade. We'll watch this again. Doggo takes way too much damage in this trade itself. They don't even have a summoner advantage here, strangely enough, so went all in. Oh yeah, the root.
Misses the Vigil. Cool.
It's outplayed.
Yeah, absolutely. Unified definitely showing Doggo some of the ropes, and AD carry tries to predict, doesn't manage to get it, and yeah, I mean, we know how the rest of this one goes. Kino really could not hold the line, try as he might.
Yeah, he barely wants to sneak out here. Malan comes in, but he doesn't have the damage at this point. And Silas is a very slow scaling champion. He doesn't even have Everfrost in this play, so he just doesn't do enough compared to someone like the Renekton. And all being said, Beyond Gaming do sneak away the first Drake, so it absolves them from having to fight 2 early game Dragon Soul contests here, but the lead is pretty firmly in PSG's side right now, given that they just top soloed and also got a bot kill coming in here. So I still feel like the next couple of minutes, PSG can play very forcefully to find these engages.
Yeah, Maple just really dipping, ducking, and diving away from all those chains. PSG definitely looking better after some plays on both sides of the map, but it is kind of funny. We've seen 2 games in a row now, Dragons being taken by the team that didn't build a comp to go for the Dragons. But Beyond did have a moment on the timers to be able to make use of that, and they picked the Ocean up for themselves. Teleport spent by Maple gets back into mid lane. And all things said, as we get a little closer to that 12-minute mark, you know, PSG doing a nice job recovering from the early play. That was a Husha dive down on bottom side.
Ooh, they are setting up for that kill onto Hanabi now, though. I think that's a really smart play. There is no flash on the Jace, and they have the Herald here.
They can bait it out. Leong's going to try and make himself look a little tasty.
If River gets spotted, it should just be an instant dive.
He's walking away from it. I think Hanabi knows something's up.
Yeah.
He's got a good game sense of when he's going to get ganked. It happens sometimes. Meanwhile, down to the bot, Kito actually looks to try and land on a Unified, but he completely whiffs on the Glacial Fissure.
Interesting attempt coming in here from... The thing about this fight, I'm just not really certain why they would choose to open up like this, because Unified still has his cleanse. His timer is up. Even if they catch him, he's not going to die, so... It's kind of interesting that Beyond Gaming is forcing this that hard.
Yeah, a little bit odd, for sure. River now waiting and baiting in the mid lane. River Brush, I should say. He's such a great player. He even has a brush named after him. Funny how that works out.
Okay. That's actually where River comes from. Oh, Mon?
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy, that's going to be the moonlight. And intense! The Viego, and they are going to be able to pick up one, but Malon does bite it at the end of the day. Beyond just brought way more friends to this party, and they should just enough damage on the Blade of the Ruined King to take down the Renekton, and Husha is going to take his soul here, as this might just be a tower before the plates are going to fall. Not quite, but they should be able to secure all the plates for themselves.
Yeah, an absolutely massive win right here. Leon manages to get all 3 players with the Slicing Maelstrom, and his teleport has far more impact compared to something like Jace.
Beyond are going to get a sub 14-minute first brick here, and Leon still chasing down Hanabi. What a great play by Beyond. It puts the gold lead back in their favor. Let's take a look at it again.
Absolutely massive play coming in here. This was PSG setting up the play. They went in first onto Malan. We'll watch the details again on how this came down so late. PSG, Maple instantly pops his Dominus just to get the extra rage bar. They take down Malan relatively quickly, but this is Leon coming in. It's a triple stun. Maple can't get out, just loses, even though the Heartbreaker doesn't find him just yet. And I think that's just the difference in teleport power coming in from the top lane there. PSG definitely won out in the 2v2, but when it was the 3v3, the AoE reigned supreme.
As a result, Beyond find themselves a well-earned lead in this game, and stacking kills onto the Viego. Husha could start to become a big threat. Leon definitely instrumental in that play here, as he heads back up to the top side up against Hanabi. So really the pendulum just starts to swing a little bit in this series. Clement, we've seen Leon get outplayed 1v1, but also be instrumental in the skirmish mid lane.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I just keep on feeling like Jace is probably a stretch too far for PSG. We have a 3v1 against Malan, though.
Yeah, Malan could be in some trouble right now. Hasn't had the greatest game from Beyond mid laner, as he does hijack the Moonlight, and just going to get charmed up, knocked into everything. Does pop his own ultimate there, and forces Kaiwing to take quite a bit of damage. But at the same time, PSG were able to take that. Now Hanabi going to try to stay alive through it all as Husha going on the dive. Heartbreak turns in, and he goes to the skies, but unfortunately, it was just an express trip to the fountain.
That damage is pretty disgusting coming in from Husha. 3-0 and 2 right there. Hanabi holds on to his flash, and still goes down. We have the side trade, and I gotta say, weak side Jace doesn't do anything, which is a pretty big problem.
That is definitely an issue, but at the same time, PSG seem to be trading really effectively on the map right now. And yeah, Liang will get this top outer, but PSG got an inner. And critically, Mountain Dragon is open and available right now, and River's already starting it up.
Yep, first Drake for PSG. Very, very slow Drake. Again, the Drake team fighting team doesn't get a Drake.
There we go. There we go. There it starts to shift. The universe makes sense again, Clement. And we have an Infernal Rift. Oh boy. That's gonna be spicy.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge here, but I'm just thinking for PSG what they should have done. Like, maybe the Jace pick early was too much of a stretch. They honestly could have flexed and Renekton to top lane and had a better comp and still had counter pick for mid. That was probably
you're right.
The smarter play overall, I would have to say.
Hindsight's 2020 though, right? I mean,
Yes.
It's hard to have seen for sure, but Maple at least is having a pretty good game on that Renekton. Of course, his window of opportunity will not stay open forever. But at the same time, you know, kind of just snapshot of where we are. It's pretty close in the gold game. Dead even in the towers overall, and a dragon apiece. I mean, Beyond definitely haven't done too shabby for themselves, and despite Hanabi kind of having a rough game, now, let's be honest, it's not the first time he's had a rough game, and it probably won't be the last either.
Yeah, I just felt like if PSG actually... If you think about this game, a lot of the bot lane mishaps just came from the fact that they were hard camped. Like, well, they know Diana is like not trying to run into the Viego, so they just hard camp bot lane. They got so many kills off of it, got summoners, and the Drake never happened. And then again, it was the fact that Jace is just so easy to die when you're playing Kennen and Viego, so they had to cover for him too. And it just feels like if PSG focused more on their bottom side of the map with the winning Renekton and winning Varus lanes, they should have been able to get a lot more mileage out of this competition. Well, that's in the past right now, and I feel like firmly Beyond Gaming can scale up to this 1-3-1 mode. Maoan is coming online.
Absolutely. Ooh, they look to chase down Maoan, but good denial. And they even get another Shelly charge off on that inner. Beyond really making good use of the Herald this game.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. Some disengage when you're playing the 1-3-1. And PSG's window is... I hate to say it, but I feel like, again, this window is closing rapidly as... Hanabi's not going to provide anything in the late game. He has a team speed up. That's about it. Like, the only really scaling damage part on PSG is River. And he is so far behind compared to Husha. So... I feel
what
like
you're saying is we might have a series after all.
Yeah, I feel like PSG have 2 more chances to get team fights, like 2 Drake fights. If they don't get an ace there, it's over.
And that's a tall order for sure. So the game's kind of settled into a little bit of a rhythm right now, as we are starting to see, you know, all these mythic items get completed on the sides. I really like what Liang has brought this time around on the Kennen. Second time around, does have that X-Tech belt on him, as well as the Zhonya's. Good old classic kind of Kennen build. They want to get sped into the back line and stun up everybody as possible. It's funny, the years can change, but Kennen really doesn't.
Yeah, it's still the same champion, like, just decent in laning phase. And I feel like whenever we go into postseasons, ranged carries that force the enemy team
always finds a way.
Yeah, like the Nars, the Kennens at Worlds, they always reign supreme. It's almost impossible for like hard counter picks like Jax's to come through, because if you want to go aggressive on those picks, you actually need jungle attention, which is the difference between range and melee. Like range champions, they can open up on you. They're holding their gap closers, while as a melee champion, you can't take free poke forever. You have to use your gap closer, and that just means that you also need jungle attention to actually make aggression work. So, you know, Kennen is just, I think he's very low investment, but very high impact.
That's definitely a worthwhile thing. I mean, it's certainly quite a lot, but it hasn't happened this game. So, Beyond really pushing their weight into PSG's jungle at the moment, trying to strangle them out. And with an Infernal spawning in about 45 seconds, this could be a good setup. PSG, they would like to fight for this one, but as you mentioned, they kind of need a bit of a miracle fight, as River does get his Moonfall stolen by Maoan. That certainly could help out Beyond Gaming in this follow-up fight. Silas, even if he hasn't had that great of a game, certainly can be a bit of an X factor.
Yep. In this fight, PSG need Renekton and Diana to go in first, and they need to hold the quickness just to charm up Husha when he goes for Unified. Should be the game plan right here. So I do expect River, with his flash and stopwatch, to be going in super aggressively. And then quickness just for follow-up.
It's actually going to get Maple that gets caught for just a second, but Malon is going to have to go golden. Meanwhile, you see River to the back line. Kino gets caught up, so they have to fight us on multiple fronts right now. As Beyond are going to turn it around, looking for Maple. They do fine-tune quickly. Hanabi left out to dry and nowhere for Unified to go, but the other direction. Your base isn't that way, my friend, and that is going to be the kill. Only River remains in a triple kill for the Cannon. Forget the Dragon. It's going to be Baron time.
Yeah, that's a full only one loss for 4 members, and I felt like PSG, even though they caught out Mawan, forced an early stasis, they had split target syndrome here. You could see the backline from River and Unified. They were going for another target, while Maple and Hanabi were getting focused down. That was a great slicing maelstrom again from Leon, just on the top side right here. You can see the quickness going down, but honestly, Aphelios is too healthy in these chokes. It doesn't die. Unified can't go forward, and he would risk just running into Liang if he did. So I think, you know, it was a winning start for PSG, but they went a little bit too ham there on the back end. And I think most crucially, the quickness wasn't there for Liang. Like, when I envisioned this team fight going in for PSG, they needed to have Kaiwing actually focus Liang and make sure Liang and Husha don't get resets. That doesn't happen. They only get Aphelios on the first target, and they don't take it down.
And now Husha is 4-0-4, and that means PSG's champion's not found. They will be able to get an Infernal Dragon just off the timers, but it's looking rough for this squad right here, Clement. You know, PSG, the defending champions, looking to make it a back-to-back, and Beyond are not going to give them as easy of a road as they had last time around.
Yeah, I'll be honest. We have sort of found out the kryptonite of PSG. It's basically, do not put Maple on something that's not scaling and isn't a main damage dealer. Just remember that point, PSG. You had Renekton. You can give it to Hanabi. Hanabi's great with Renekton.
I think they are getting a little too tricky in drafts. Like, I really agree with you. It's not been their best friend the last couple of series. And, speaking of best friends, I think Liang was wishing he had one there because, man, that was a bit of a gank squad out of the brushes. I don't know if it's going to buy PSG a whole lot.
At least there's one Baron buff off the table on a split pusher, so
and shut down
pretty good
gold
find
too.
for PSG.
That's crucial.
Yeah.
Is that River that got that? Yeah, I think it was. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it does look like River.
He needs the gold.
The one's on the other side.
All right, so PSG do manage to at least stop the Baron push for a moment. That's certainly going to help them, but Beyond Gaming definitely in the driver's seat right now as they will look to try and push in this mid. It's good defense there to clear the minion waves. I think that's going to be it.
Just full clear the wave right there. They do have a lot of poke potential here, so it's
looking for the bottom.
It's possible for PSG to dislodge Beyond Gaming from Siege, but they do need to find the correct targets, and I feel like at this point it actually has to be onto actually all of them have great sustain. It sounds really weird, but the only one that they can really poke down is probably Tenet.
It's looking tough. PSG going to try and hold the line here, but here comes the next wave of Baron minions. Husha around the side. Got to keep an eye on that Viego always, as they do manage to land down pretty good Graviton there, and that's going to be another target taken. Turret, I should say, 5 in total for Beyond Gaming as they just try to keep this map as open as possible. Starve out PSG. Don't give them anything even in their own jungle here, as the red will get taken away by Liang.
Yeah, and this is not a great engaging comp from PSG this time, unfortunately. There is a Braum there, so you really need 2 strong engages going in at the same time, and that's going to have to come from River. I just don't think River's fed enough. Like, his jungle has been in shambles for the last 2 rotations. What is realistically the play here for PSG? They don't have the damage to find kills on side lane either. I don't see it out, to be honest.
Maybe they need to just like turn some catches, but they need to get really tricky. They need to get deep wards. They need to make plays and get the skirmishes, but that window is rapidly closing. They are going to look for Maoan up here on the top side, but they don't even have that tower taken. And at this point, he's a little slippery. He also has taken River's Moonfall again, so he might be able to turn a fight himself. And yeah, they're not going to get anything done with it.
Yeah, there's also double Zanyas in the front line, so they're not going to die to any sort of pick. You also have Braum stand behind me, plus Immortal Shield Bow, plus Stopwatch on Doggo. That doesn't seem particularly viable either. So PSG are... I don't know, I feel like it has to be some really weird combination of them sneaking away an Infernal Soul or like stealing the Baron to come back and moving.
Oh, and Kino sniffs this out. Actually just decides to walk in anyways, and not sure if that was the greatest decision, but here comes Mabel, River, and Kaiwing. And Husha on the side, teleport coming in, and they just kind of force the skirmish here as PSG just trying to find something, looking for Husha. Not able to find enough damage as the Dominus is on. Maple is just going to use it to lead the retreat. All that time invested. They get a turret, but that's it.
That was like, what, 10 plus seconds of wailing on a Braum, and he doesn't even go down? That kind of tells you the story of the lack of damage coming out here on the side of PSG. They don't get the Drake fight. It will be an Infernal going over to Beyond Gaming at this rate with the control. So I feel like PSG actually need to step up a little here just to find some poke damage and wrestle tempo back. That is a potential play they can get. Varus and Jace could still stay out of range against Beyond Gaming. I don't think they realistically have a chance at getting this Drake, but they can just opt in for some poke damage and try to snowball that into potential Baron tempo.
PSG are trying to be proactive, at least towards the top side of the map right now, but with a couple seconds left before this Infernal Dragon does spawn, you have to think they're going to back and reset, try to maybe fight it out for the Baron instead. Beyond are going to be able to secure this one up pretty freely. They have a lot of damage at the moment. We will be matched on Infernals.
Not even an intent from PSG to match this one. That's rather unfortunate here.
Yeah, they're playing with a little bit of fear right now. I mean, it's definitely a little conservative from the side of PSG Talon. They do not want to give up the little bit they have, but unfortunately, you're just starting to see them fall further and further behind. I really want to see a contest on this Baron.
Yeah, no, a lot of props to Megabank Beyond Gaming for their early game. This is really smart, just bouncing around the areas where River wasn't at and just punishing them to the maximum. PSG, again, we talked about like hardware and software. PSG should have the software, but they just didn't have the execution to actually pull it off. Like
it's bugged, Clement. Maybe they need a hotfix after all.
It certainly looks like it. I just felt like this Jace is kind of a wasted pick.
That's the bug. It doesn't do anything.
Didn't do anything this game, honestly. And I don't think it's Hanabi's fault at all. Like, he actually got the solo kill in lane. He actually played lane better than Miao. It's just the fact that he's a Jace without flash, and he's going to get targeted down, and the River has to cover him. So, yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for PSG.
Okay, Mawan, it looked like he wanted to try and set up a play as Everfrost was popped. Not really going to be anything there, and there's a couple of backs channeling here as Kino is down a little low. PSG, do they take the opportunity to try and set up on the Baron? They're not feeling very confident to do so, honestly, with good reason.
And this is a strong point for Unified coming in here. He does have the Mura mana already complete, dealing a lot of damage at this point. Husha especially is going to be very fearful of that Varus because he does have this Serpent's Fang, which will shred through Hysteric's Gauge. And yeah, I like the idea from PSG. That's probably the only line that they have on the map right now is just a group up, siege poke, force resets from Beyond Gaming. They're not going to be able to get kills, but they will force tempo, and that means that they can transfer that into Baron control, as we have seen a couple times now already. PSG, I think in the future team fights, they're just going to try and dissuade Beyond Gaming from taking Baron by threatening them with poke over the wall. They probably can't even go into River at this point.
Yeah, but the question is, you know, at this point, what does that game plan look like as it gets later and later? Hard to contest the Dragons. Beyond Gaming, you know, they might just be able to edge them out with Soul eventually, and you have to wonder Pyra, when the go button is going to be, right?
You made me do this, but we actually do have scripts in the PCS. I am going to reveal what my version says right here. Are you ready?
All right. Yeah, I know I got a little different one than you. Let's hear it.
All right. Act 1, Act 2, PSG fall behind. But Act 3, Beyond Gaming are on Infernal Soul, and a piercing arrow comes through the clouds from Unified and just kills Husha plus the Infernal Drake at the same time, and they get a massive snowball. Those arrows start to hurt a lot, and then PSG somehow drag it towards a one-team fight situation where Unified, the MVP of my heart of this split, is going to get a 5-man Chains of Corruption. And then
the writer's doing a good job on that one. It's a really good script, but here's the problem, Clement. We have seen that before. We saw it in the Boom Esports game. I wonder if Beyond are keeping that one in mind. And, ooh, Kino, he's already chunked down with the poke. We're going to have to see if the script stays true for sure. This game, we could be in for a long one.
I will tell you, that is one of my scripts. I have many different scripts, so that's probably the least likely one to happen in all honesty.
Here's the thing. That's not a script. That's called fan fiction. That's a thing that exists, dude.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
But it did actually happen because it happened in the Boom game when Unified was on Ziggs. I can't get that one out of my head, man. It lives rent free. That was just such an amazing game.
It was, and I just want to say it has happened before. We're not making this up out of thin air.
No, Unified is really good at doing insane things like that. There's a reason it's in the script.
Kind of a repeat run here. Beyond Gaming, I actually don't like their start here, to be absolutely honest. I feel like if I'm Beyond, I'm willing to wait this one. Now, this is pretty much the only possibility they lose here is if they get the Baron stolen.
River's waiting, doesn't get the steal off, and right over the wall goes Mawon in, follows Husha. The rest of PSG trying to collapse on it. The Mixdude gets the shutdown. They do, managing to take down both Husha and Mawon in this one. PSG go over into the pit to try and finish it off, but it's just a lot of back and forth here as people just can't quite do it, and Doggo opens up with the triple. It ends up being 3 for 3.
Yeah, PSG nearly got that win, but it was a little bit overboard from the front line going down then into the pit. They could have walked away with the double and been okay with that one, but unfortunately for Unified, he's not able to make it across the ramp here. I'm still not a huge fan of this Beyond Gaming play. I feel like if you're so far ahead, there's no way you actually go for this one. You have the scaling potential to do it, but they go for it anyway. And you can see my problems with it. They nearly get punished incredibly hard. 2 kills down the drain already, but Maple flashes in early, and they don't find the kill on Doggo. Most critically, he does have the stasis, and Liang is there for the receiving end.
Oh my word. On the back of that, PSG just full-on leash the Infernal to Beyond.
Whoops.
Oh yeah, that's a whoops. They did not have a take fast. A lot of this just stems from how far behind River's been this game.
Yeah. Well.
Yep.
At least the team fight was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it was, but it was a strange fight, right? Because Husha and Mawon go over the wall, the team can't follow them, so they kind of just get collapsed on, and then PSG start feeling themselves, and they then go into the pit, and Doggo's like, oh, hell yes.
Yeah, like, it kind of reminds me, like, sometimes in the circus, when you have, like, 2 clowns throwing, like, pins back and forth at each other. That's what it kind of reminded me of, to be honest.
So what you're saying is it's a fiesta of sorts, a fiesta
that was a bit fiesta.
Clown.
In all honesty, even though this is our finals, we got to call out the fiesta plays when they're there. That was a bit fiesta.
Sometimes just make it a little bit fun. And ooh, look at this, a PSG death rush as they go running in. Look at the quickness. Oh, Kino! What a great disengage!
Oh, that was so close. Doggo had no summoners there, so it was a golden opportunity for PSG to get back into it. But Kino, with his fatherly instincts, says no.
Yeah, good protect the president play right there. Well done by Kino as he keeps Doggo in, and honestly, the rest of his team alive in that one. Beyond Gaming pushing in top side now with the Baron buff, trying to set the plays up, and sits on the front. In goes Mawon to finish pull 2 in here, and Stolen Moonfall, they're going to be able to delete Kaiwing right off the map, and that's a turnaround from River, but it's just not enough damage to follow through. You can see as the inhibitor turret is going to get fired down. Doggo actually on the front line, still tanking it up, and Maple just doesn't have anything, as Liang is able to shut him down, shoot him full of lightning, and that is going to be him going down to Hanabi at the end of the day. It doesn't matter, though, as Beyond are knocking on the doors to victory here and trying to even up the series. They have to get out now. They don't have a whole lot left in the tank, or do they? As River just gets too far forward. Unified is able to step away from the damage, but now the death timer is starting to get a little real here. Hanabi and Unified going to try and save the day.
It's 40 seconds, but Unified can't do it alone. He doesn't have the damage to go to the sustain.
Oh, Doggo taking low. Kino gonna take it all up again. Gives his life for Doggo here. Now here's the counter engage. Hanabi, Kaiwing, Unified all on the side looking for the chase. And does the Jace have the damage? But he can't quite close it.
The arrow. Oh, Unified was the hero there. Man.
Such close plays on the edge of a knife, despite Beyond Gaming with a significant lead in this one. PSG still have teeth, Clement.
That was pretty insane from Unified. If he got caught by just one of the Abduct or the Everfrost, the game was over. That's a 40-second death timer on the side of Kaiwing going down early. Again, I feel like this fight is a little more rushed than it needed to be from Beyond Gaming. It's not the safest of plays, but they still get rewarded for him overall. And here comes a critical place here. Unified, watch as he unleashes the piercing arrow, perfectly timed onto the stasis just outside of Liao. He gets the E onto Doggo, forces him back again, and this is the push done for Beyond Gaming. They can't go any further. A little bit too far forward for River. He's not been having the greatest of games here, but watch this from Unified. Dodges out on the Abduct, dodges the Chains of Corruption, dodges the Everfrost, and then still stays around to put damage back onto Doggo. Like, Unified is the reason PSG have not lost this game just yet.
Oh, and Doggo nearly goes down in that one as well. I mean, Unified is just... I think there are no roles that I think it's quite as important to have like those incredible like micro bits as an AD carry. And I know that may be a controversial statement, but I say that because if you misstep, you die as an AD. And Unified, he don't misstep. He's just good.
Yeah, I'm still flabbergasted that they're able to stay alive after a 7K push like that one. But this one is for the Dragon Soul, and PSG are forced to come into this one.
Yeah, without a top inhibitor, too, it's going to be rough. They're going to send Hanabi on side lane duty, but he does have teleport available. However, Beyond, they may not let PSG come to them. They are in the mid lane themselves right now as they try to sniff out a play. Unified does get his Chains of Corruption stolen, but Maoan pays dearly for that as the chains come right back on him. Without that cooldown now, Beyond might actually have to back away.
The poke is coming in really hard at this point. Even with the Zanya's done, they still can't stop Unified from just opening up on them. And well, I think we're seeing why Unified in the PCS
called him the hero.
Considered the best.
Oh, that's a big Moonlight Vigil though. That might change the calculus a little bit as Beyond are going to try and open up on the Dragon. Who's just going to start this one? Liang waiting around the side, River sniffing through, and Maple pops over the pit. Chains do land onto the Diana, going into stasis. Now do they have the damage as the fight is going to be on here? Pusha opens up and taking down Maple, and that is just going to be way too much for Beyond Gaming. Doggo absolutely unstoppable here, and even the remaining members of PSG trying to get something. They will be able to take down Liang as well as Maoan, but that is going to be the soul, Clement.
I gotta say, even though that fight went poorly from PSG, I'm so impressed by Unified. He got 2 snipes off of Zanya's. That's just perfect timing coming in from him. So
it was great. It's just not enough.
He saved the game essentially. Like, if those 2 kills didn't happen, like it was game over once again. So yeah, Beyond Gaming are rolling through this, but I can't help but feel that Unified is just keeping the door open with his foot there. He's not relinquishing this fight whatsoever. It's a great Moonlight Vigil, but a great redemption to fix that as well right afterwards. And I think the main thing about this fight is just that PSG have to go over the ramp and they don't have enough damage. Kino gets a massive exhaust down onto the side of, I believe, River to stop most of the damage from actually coming in here, and it just ends up not being enough.
Ooh, and the snipe. Oh my goodness. I was wondering how the Aphelios got the kill on Kaiwing. It was just the turret.
Just Aphelios.
Oh, man. yeah, just, I mean, 200 years. 200 years of collective game design. It's a lot. And a 7-1-5 score. Doggo is absolutely stacking it up right now, but Unified has been keeping it alive. This really is a tale of 2 AD carries this game. And 40 minutes in, we now have Beyond Gaming with the Infernal Soul, with the Baron buff. Is it going to be enough to end this game? Because Unified has just been holding the line for PSG
if you look
this
at
game.
The build right here, Unified is full build, but critically he doesn't have any source of MR. So what we should be looking at is just Liang flashing on him. Like, once they get the timers, I feel like they just sit on Unified and... Oh my god.
Yeah, just like that. They don't even need it for sure. That means a fountain trip, which should open up inhibitor 1 and 2 here. As the top side inhibitor is already open, they're going to knock down mid. Look for bottom. In fact, look for the fight. Maple already going to dash his way to freedom and, frontline tanking. This is going to get hairy. Beyond Gaming knocking on the door to victory here in game 2.
Doggo is willing to walk up to this one.
Counter engage, they have it. Leong is going to start by opening up a kill, and Kino with his last breath is able to get 2 knockups, but look at how much damage. Unified is just going to try to pick him off like fish in a barrel, but no! Shut down by Husha, and that might just be it, but Hanabi still threatening. Flashing in, Doggo is going to take him down. That's going to be it. Hits him with the T1, and that's going to be GG for Beyond Gaming in game 2.
What a baller play coming in from Doggo. He said, I want to end this right here, right now. He knows he has the GA, walks in, baits the rest of the PSG squad to follow in, and then survives to tell the tale there. Great play coming in from Husha, from Doggo. Once again, the key to victory is Aphelios. Whoever picks Aphelios has just been winning these
That's
games.
the big brain take, for sure. Man, Beyond Gaming, I mean, they're right there in that game. That was why we saw such a strong performance out of this team a couple days ago, why we thought they were going to be the most likely team to challenge PSG Talon from the very beginning. It was excellent and just really well played.
Yeah, there's so many great things about this game. I think the critical thing is that, once again, the Renekton doesn't get to play team fights. It's just so weird to see this one. But
it's a bait. It's a trap in the mid lane. Don't do it.
Chains of Corruption, Dominus, those are some really good Drake fighting ultimates, but I think the critical thing is the way that Beyond Gaming broke up in this game, and they did so through the bottom lane. Even though Unified did have a superior matchup with the serrated Dark start, he wasn't able to go forward because Husha just camped him multiple times. It was 2 camps already before pre-6, and they were able to get 2 kills, and that was the end of it. Like, there was no Drake potential coming in from it, no snowball point for the Renekton. And later on, Silas and Kennen just take over in terms of the scaling. Jace was also pretty much a non-factor this game. I think they spread themselves too thin on the side of PSG, and what I wouldn't be sad if they went for this draft again, but for sure I think Renekton needs to go top, and you need a safe counter pick for Maple. Just fix those things in the draft, you could still run this again.
Yeah, put Maple on a damage dealer. I mean, I know you're shouting it from the rooftops. I 100% agree with you. It's just give him something that's going to scale into the late game, because Maple is one of those legendary players that can really pull up a game for you, but he needs to be given the tools to do it. Unified nearly did it himself, but why deny yourself the opportunity and give Hanabi something that he can frontline on? Speaking of kind of more utility too, Mawan kind of turned into that for Beyond Gaming. Like, he had a really rough start on this Silas, but it didn't matter because he was just stealing moonfalls and using them to set up plays. And honestly, that's all he had to do. Let's take a look at how the game shook out over time. And it's just, despite losing, the most damage in the game goes to the Varus. Unified she's a god, but unfortunately, Beyond proved that gods can bleed.
Yeah, at the end, he still couldn't deal with Viego right there. Viego just one-shot combos him from full HP. I feel bad, but that's season 11 80 carries for you. So, not much.
That's what I'm talking about. You misstep, you die.
He was full HP. Like, theoretically, should have been fine. Like, that was a jungler, but he still just gets absolutely.
What we are saying is, Rito, please give 80 carries more stuff to do and not die. Maybe next season. I don't know. Either way, it was a great win by Beyond. It took a long time to get there, in no small part to Unify just saving the game over and over again. But for PSG, definitely got a little bit overthinking that draft for sure. I want to see what they can do in Game 3. But we absolutely have a series on our hands, Clement, 1-1, and some pretty dominating performances from both our contenders here.
Yeah, I'm very satisfied with the way Beyond Gaming handled the early game. However, less so about their team fights. I actually feel like their team fights, a lot of them were, they weren't super ideal. They were just based off the fact that they were so far ahead. The Baron fight, that was actually just a straight up 50-50. And they would have lost that one as well if PSG did not go forward.
That was kind of crazy.
The base team fight was also pretty bad. They went straight over the tower, lost 2 people, and again, they get bailed out by River going too far forward, but that was a one where they could have just been wiped. So I want to see Beyond Gaming actually chill out a little bit in team fights. They can take things slower in team fights and still get the same results, but kudos to them. They're a growing team. They still manage to shut down PSG, which is their main nemesis.
and Doggo wins the MVP award on Aphelios. And, in all honesty, behind every AD carry is a wonderful, wonderful support. And I think Kino deserves a very big honorable mention in this one because Doggo had one death, and that could have, I think, easily tripled, if not more, had it not been for Kino's play. But I don't want to take anything away from Doggo. He did fantastic. This is the Doggo that people who have only seen this guy at MSI were expecting to see.
Yeah, just very aggressive play. When he sees an opening, he will land the killing blow. That's the way that Doggo has played. That's why I like him over a lot of other rookies, because I think for rookies, it's very hard to have that sort of an instinct and to have just the trust of the team behind you to go for those risky plays. At this point, I feel like we should swap the MVP graphic. The MVP should just always be Aphelios, and then we Photoshop the player's face onto the left side. So
even
that
if
would just save a lot of time.
Still the MVP.
Yeah.
And maybe it will get banned this time around. I mean, we have seen quite a lot of good play on that champion, but we are going to go on cooldown. We'll be right back with Game 3 of the series, so don't go anywhere.